Hello, online viewers for Silver Creek Church. I'm coming to you from my office because we had technical difficulties with our audio equipment this morning, which means about 5 minutes of the beginning of the message was cut off. And so, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you 5 minutes right now, and then we'll resume to the magic of video editing. We'll resume you right back into the Sunday morning message that happened on our premises in our studio, which is at 7971 Main Street in Birch Run. If you ever want to stop by and check us out live and in person, we meet there every Sunday at 10 a.m. We have programming for all ages. We have incredible environments for our middle school, high school, children's ministry, preschool, nursery, all ages. Families are welcomed, and we have a pretty good adult service too, if I may say so myself. I get to be the person behind most of what you'll see there. So with no further ado, let me jump into today's message. I want to start off with a question. Have you ever had a bad day? There's a song that you've probably heard on the radio. It's, have you had a bad day? Have you had a bad day? You think one down, turn it around. It's a good song. I won't put you through the torture of hearing me sing it. You'll want to do this like I was. But it's a good song. It's melodic, it pulls you in, but it's also the kind of song that you're like, oh man, I really did kind of have a bad day, man. It kind of pulls you in. And I bring that up because I had a bad day this week. And if you don't mind, if you'll indulge me, I'd like to take a moment and tell you about my bad day I had this week. So I've got a 2015 Ford Expedition that I drive, and I'm driving it with my son, running some errands, pull into a grocery store, get some groceries so that we can have dinner that night. It's always good to have that. And I get to my vehicle, and I've got one of those push button starts. You know, you kind of boop, push the button. I push the button to start the truck, and it doesn't start. And I'm like, that's odd. So I check the shifter. Is the shifter just not in place? Or the steering wheel maybe isn't locked right? Or simple things. Am I pushing the brake down hard enough? I don't know. But for whatever reason, it is not starting. So I'm pushing the button over and over. After about 10 minutes, I'm sweating because, by the way, this is one of the hottest days of summer. Humidity's high. The groceries are in the car with frozen goods and fresh goods that are probably not so good in the warm weather, right? Eric, my son's in the back of the car. I'm like, okay, look, Eric, son, I'm going to take you into the entrance of the grocery store. You hang out here in the foyer where at least it's semi-air conditioned. Hang on to the groceries in here so they're cooler than they would be in this hot vehicle right now. And I'm going to see if I can get this thing started. So I go back out, I open the hood, I'm checking connections. Everything that I know to do isn't working, and I can't get it started. So I have that moment. Maybe you've had it before too, where I'm like, what do I do? I'm praying, God, help me to know what to do. You know, I need some help here. I'm out of my depth. And I'm trying to think, who do I call for help? Can't think of anyone off the top of my head, but I realized, hey, it's 4:35, 4:40 now, and my wife's going to be getting out of work in 20 minutes. If I call her, she'll be about 35, 40 minutes away, but at least she could come by and pick us up, and I could go home and get some tools and figure this out. So we wait an hour. Now I go and stand in the foyer of the store with my son, which is awkward. You know, people are walking by us, looking at us, thinking, "Are you selling Girl Scout cookies? What are you doing?" And I'm just like looking at people like awkwardly. Yeah, I'm just waiting for my wife. Finally, my wife comes and gets us. Not to her fault. She picks us up. We head home. We eat dinner. I think I'll go back. I go back out there, put a new battery in it even, and that doesn't fix it. So I realized my only choice now is I've got to take it to a dealership and see if they can figure out what this fluke issue is where it just will not start for seemingly no reason. Mind you, it's started fine every day before that. It's just out of the blue. So in order to do that, I've got to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and take my wife to work and then drive back from taking her to work so that I can work on it. Take my wife to work the next morning, drive back to where my truck is parked, try it one more time, it don't work. This is, mind you, very early in the morning. It's like 5:30, 6 o'clock while I'm checking all this. And I'm like, okay, no stores are open except Walmart. Walmart's open. No plug for Walmart necessarily. They just happen to be open. So I'm like, hey, I'll go to Walmart and I'll get one of these code readers. I could plug it into the vehicle and it'll tell you what's wrong. Maybe I can find out what's wrong. Maybe it'll be a simple fix. Who knows? So I go to Walmart, get this little code reader, go to the cash register, checking out, and she's running it through it. Normally at a cash register, she'll go beep, beep, as she scans it. Well, this time it's like boom, 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 boom. I'm like, okay, what does that mean? She looks puzzled. I don't know what's going on. It's weird. Boom, 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 boom. Let me call my manager. She calls the manager. Manager comes over, checks it all out, tries doing their magic for 5 or 10 minutes. They finally conclude it must be a bad SKU. Go get us another one, and it should be fine. So I walk all the way to the back corner of the store, by the way, which is where automotive is in Walmart's. Instead of one, I grab 3 off the shelf. That's all I had. Walk back up to the checkout. Here's 3. Let's try it out. And mind you, at this point, I am not getting upset at all. The old Matt would have been getting upset by now, because the old Matt would have been like, what's going on? Lord, where are you? This is ridiculous. Why has this happened to me? Bum, 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 bum. It's piling up. I might have been screaming and saying things I ought not to say, but on this day, and the day before, by the way, when it went to start the first time, I was very calm, and I was really proud of myself. I'm like, I'm maturing. I was really proud of myself because I didn't do that. I was calm, cool, collected. I was asking God to help me through the situation, but I couldn't figure out why it wasn't working still. Like, in other words, I'm like, Lord, I need some help, but okay, I'm patient. I'm waiting. So I'm at Walmart, put those 3 items down. She goes to check those. Boom, 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 boom. All 3 of them. None of them will work. She looks at me and she goes, I'm sorry, I guess I just can't sell this to you. This never happened before. Yeah, okay, this kind of feels like my day. All right, there's my week. So I leave Walmart going, well, by now, AutoZone's going to be open soon, so I'll go to the auto parts store. I go there, I get the little code reader. He says, hey, you could just borrow it and check it out. I'm like, thank you, that's awesome. So I borrow their code reader, plug it in. It tells me nothing. I go back, check out with the guy at the store. Hey, what's going on? He's like, oh, that just means there's no code, so who knows what's wrong. Let me call for a tow truck. I'm trying to call for a tow truck with my cell phone. Because I'm like, I'm going to get a tow truck and have him take it to the dealer. My cell phone goes, we're sorry, all the circuits are busy. What kind of message is that? All the circuits are busy. Try it again. We're sorry, all the circuits are busy. I'll call the dealership. Call the dealership. We're sorry, all the circuits are busy. I'll call a different dealership. We're sorry, all the circuits are busy. Is it just my phone? Call Rachel. Ring, ring, ring. Ring, ring, ring. I leave her a voicemail message. I'm just checking my phone. I don't know what's going on. For some reason, I can only call certain places. None of the places I need, I can call right now. My cell phone is not working. So I'm like, well, maybe it's just where I'm at. So I drive to the other side of town. Kind of can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? I pull over this side of town. Try dialing it. We're sorry, all the circuits are busy. I'm starting to ask God, I'm really trying to understand what's going on here because nothing's working. I can't even get the help I need to fix this situation. I conclude, maybe I just need to go home. Because there's nothing I can do. I've tried everything I can do. Physically, I can't. It's too early to even go anywhere. It's just, I can't. All right, so I drive home. As soon as I get home, I try it again. The call goes through. I call the tow truck driver. I drive back out there, meet him with the key, hand him the key to the truck so he can tow it to the dealership. Turns out it was a bad starter. Needed to have a starter replaced. Who would have thought? So the point of that story is this. Going through it all, I could have lost my cool, but I didn't. Like I told you before, I was proud of that. But also, my son is in the back seat, and he's taking in everything. And mind you, he and I really haven't talked much about it. He's trying to be happy-go-lucky. It didn't really bother him much. But I'm like, in my mind, thinking, what do I got to do? I got to figure this out. How am I going to fix this? At the same time, going, okay, Lord, I'm trusting you, but am I missing something? So I said to Eric, my son, I said, hey, we haven't talked about this whole situation that's been going on. It's been crazy the last couple of days. But Eric, do you know what you do when everything seems to just not be working and you're trying and trying and trying and you don't know what to do? He said, yeah, you ask God for help. Great answer, son, by the way. Great answer. I said, no, you're absolutely right. But I said, but what do you do when you've prayed and prayed and it doesn't seem like anything's changing? He goes, I don't know. I said, honest answer. That's good. I said, son, you know what you do? You keep going. You keep pushing forward. It's like when you get your foot stuck in a mud and there's nobody around to help you, if your foot's stuck in mud, nobody there to help you, you've got to figure it out. You got to get out of that somehow. You just push through. You figure it out, but you push through. You don't stop trying. You don't give up. And I told myself that's what I'm doing right now. I'm not giving up. I'm not getting discouraged. I'm not getting angry. I'm just pushing through. He goes, oh yeah. So that, in fact, I think he said, actually, Dad, you could leave the shoe there in the mud and keep going. I'm like, yeah, that's true. You could do that. But it was my choice to either hold on to that frustration and that building of the anger all day long or to let it go. I chose to let it go. And in life, things are going to happen all the time to us. People are going to say things to us that could really hurt us and could really wreck our day. Things are going to happen to us that we're like, where did this come from? How could this random events all pile up on me at once? What are we going to do in that situation? We have a choice. We either hold on to it or we let it go. The thing is, when we hold on to it, it's like putting baggage on our shoulder. It's like it builds up over time. And so what I'd like to do is I'd like to do messages a little bit different today. Today what I'm going to do is I'm going to have this sketch going on, and we're going to kind of dive in and out of it and talk about it. So let's watch the first part of the sketch, and we'll come back to it right after that. Thank you.
You've heard the saying, he's carrying a lot of baggage from his past, or avoid her. Baggage. But think about it. I mean, baggage, we get it from other people, the things that they do to us or say to us. And if we carry those memories around, in essence, we carry baggage. We begin collecting baggage when we're just little kids.
There you are.
Hey.
Hi.
Hey.
Hi.
Hey.
Hey, I need to talk to you.
Yeah, what?
Well, we were talking about building the tree house.
Yeah. I love tree houses.
Yeah, it's just a thing. See, you can't help us build the tree house.
Why?
Well, you don't really want me to tell you.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, well, we were talking,
Uh-huh.
The gang, we were talking, and,
Yeah.
Well, you're too fat.
What?
You'll weigh down the tree house.
I'm not fat.
Yes.
No,
Yes.
I'm not. No. Mommy just says I'm big boned.
Dinosaurs are big boned, you're fat.
No. Mommy says I'm chunky.
Peanut butter's chunky, you're fat.
No. Mommy says that I've lost weight.
I think you found it.
No. Mommy says I'm just different.
Your mommy says you're just different?
Yeah, I'm just different.
Go back to where you came from. I gotta go. Bye.
Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. That's one of the biggest lies we teach children. Words hurt. They cut deep. And if we carry around the words of other people, essentially what we do is we're collecting baggage.
So we're going to pause this story for a second. We're going to come back to it. But it's amazing how things can happen that can hurt us deeply. Things happen, or people say things that hurt us deeply. And it's true, words do hurt, especially when it's someone that you care about. I mean, when someone says to me, "You look old," I try to be like, "Oh yeah, whatever," laugh it off. Sometimes we can even joke, make our own jokes about ourselves or the things that we're insecure about to play it off with others around us, to be like, "Ah ha ha." But inside, it still hurts. Inside, I'm still feeling a little bit of a jab. I pretend like I didn't hear it. I pretend like it didn't bother me, but deep down, it really did. And when we get hurt, it's like they say, it's like picking up a piece of baggage and putting it on my shoulder. And now something's weighing me down. It's our choice to pick it up. It's our choice to hold on to it, but it's baggage. And it can come from the past. It can come from something that happened just yesterday. It comes from kids. It comes from parents, from our brothers, our sisters, our relatives, our love interests, and from friends. It can really hurt sometimes. And in Proverbs chapter 12, Proverbs is a great book for the Bible because it gives us wisdom. In Proverbs chapter 12, verse 18, the words of the reckless pierce like swords, but the tongue of the wise brings healing. And all that's doing is affirming what we already know. Words can hurt. It's just words, sticks and stones, all that, but it can pierce and it can hurt, even if you pretend like it's not. Inside, you're hiding something. But the encouraging part about this verse is that equally so as they hurt, they can also bring happiness. Words can heal people as well. Now, whenever somebody says something that startles me, it's like I didn't expect it. I wasn't ready for it. It makes it even harder to get through. It makes it harder to deal with because it came out of nowhere supposedly, or I wasn't ready. I wasn't braced for it. And sometimes people can see our immediate reaction and they wonder, oh, did I say something? And even at those times, we will catch ourselves saying, no, I'm fine, but we're not really fine. We're trying to hide it because all we're thinking is, I just want to make it go away. I don't want to talk about it. Just make it go away. But choosing to ignore it isn't the same as letting it go. Let's continue their story.
See, we can't find our self-worth based on what other people think of us. We have to find our self-worth based on Christ and our relationship with Him. But it doesn't seem to be that easy. And as life goes on and we get older, we just tend to collect more baggage. Sometimes we pick up baggage from people who are very close to us, like a best friend.
No, I know, Shelley, I know. It's like we talked for 3 hours and it seemed like 5 minutes. I know. It's like we have this amazing connection, this chemistry. Okay, I'm just gonna say this, Shelley. I've never said this to anyone in a really long time. Shelley, I feel like you're my density. I really, really do. No, you're right. You're my destiny. That's what I meant. You're my destiny, right? I'm just so full. Hey, he's right here. I gotta go. Okay, bye. Hey, buddy, what's up?
Not much. Who are you talking to?
Talking to my mom.
Your mom's your destiny.
Yeah. I mean, she gave birth to me and everything. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Kudos.
Really?
Yeah.
Because it sounds like you said Shelley.
Yeah. That's her name.
I thought your mom's name was Kelly.
That's her middle name.
Your mom's name's Kelly Shelley?
Yeah, and she was picked on a lot when she was a kid, so I just really try to encourage her all the time and tell her that I love her. What's wrong with that?
Okay,
I mean, that's a great thing to do.
Whatever. Did you talk to my Shelley?
Yeah, I did.
And?
She's not going to be your Shelley.
What?
Look, we just started talking. We just kind of hit it off. I mean, it just happened. I mean, we had this great chemistry. It just.
No. You were supposed to call her for me.
I did. I started out doing that. I did. You gotta believe me.
You're supposed to be my best friend.
I am. Don't let a girl come between us, okay? This is not a big.
You did this. Look, man, you know I've liked her since we were in kindergarten, and you were supposed to talk to her for me.
Yes, but I've been your best friend since kindergarten, and we've always said growing up, best friends forever, right?
Yeah, well, you know what? Forever just got a lot shorter.
Don't do this. Don't do this. It's a
You did this.
You're supposed to be my best friend. And our friends. They're just trying to get through life the same way we are. And sometimes they're going to make poor choices, and we can either learn to forgive them or we can pick up more baggage. You know, the truth about baggage is we don't need other people to load it on us. We do a pretty good job of dumping baggage on ourselves when we compare ourselves to others. We think things like, if I could be as popular as they are, if I could be as gifted and talented as they are, but I'm not. I'm a loser. I'm no good. And when we think that, we pick up more baggage. Or we find ourselves thinking, they have it made. And why is life so easy for them and so hard for me? I'm never gonna make it. And when we buy into that lie, more baggage.
As we go through a lifetime, we accumulate a lot of baggage. I mean, it happens. It's not on purpose. And I don't think we're aware of it. And I think that's what makes it so incredibly profound to think about, because it's just unbeknownst to us. We're kind of missing it. Betrayal really hurts. And betrayal is really hard to let go of. You know, it's you expect people to be loyal and to be there for you when you need them. But sometimes those closest to us can let us down. Sometimes friends aren't as good of friends as we thought, and you've been there where you needed them, you really needed them in that moment, they just weren't there for you. So when you're hurt and you know it couldn't be prevented, what do I do with that? Because I feel like I'm almost letting them off too easy if I just forgive or forget so quickly. Like, isn't there something that I'm responsible for to kind of make sure that they learn from this process or something? But really what's happening is we're putting baggage back onto ourselves. By the way, have you heard about the new game that they're making now? Everybody's playing it. Well, it's not new, but it's called the comparison game. And it's must be fun because everybody plays it, but the problem is nobody wins, everyone loses. When you compare ourselves to others, we don't improve anything in our life. All we do is walk away feeling miserable about ourselves. Speaking of games, let's keep watching this.
Sometimes we pick up baggage from people who love us dearly. They just don't realize that their words cut like a knife.
Son,
Hey, Dad.
what happened out there?
The ball slipped. The lights got in my eyes.
The lights got in your eyes.
Yeah.
You know that's what cost us the game, don't you?
Yeah.
The ball slipped. How many times have I gotten up in the morning before 5 a.m., before I go to work on the stuff with you, huh? There were scouts out there. You realize that?
Dad, the ball slipped.
The ball slipped.
It did. I mean, what do you
Hey,
want me
Coach. Huh? No. Butterfingers, yeah. We're going to work with him. Uh-huh. All right. See you later. Are you crying?
No.
Well, don't. Pull it together. People are watching. I want you to grab your stuff. I'm going to go to the car and I'll meet you there, all right?
Dad.
I'm just disappointed in you, all right? These were our dreams, right? Grab your stuff.
And our parents, they don't mean to hurt us. It's just they've got their own baggage. And when you don't deal with baggage, you pass it on. And for us, we have to learn to find our self-worth only in our relationship with Christ. And if we don't, we pick up more baggage.
For us parents, there's a big ouch. As a parent, I watch that and I think, I know I've been guilty of that at times where I thought what I was doing was I was helping my kid in a moment where they made a mistake to make it memorable and, okay, we're going to hold on to, you're going to get better, you're going to improve. And I thought it was encouraging, but really, if I could look at myself, I can be objective and say, maybe I wasn't as encouraging as I should have been. Maybe I wasn't as helpful as I should have been. And parenting's hard. And you know what the hardest part of parenting is that as parents, we don't get our report cards until the kids are all grown up. It's usually when the kids are all grown up and they're moved out of the house that then they come back and say, Mom and Dad, that really hurt when you did that when I was 12. Or, there's something I'm holding on to back from when I was 16 and this happened. And I've had that moment with my adult children where they've come back to me and they've said, Dad, can we talk? I'm like, sure, yeah, let's talk. And then they start bringing up some things that happened earlier in life. And at first I'm like, who are you to bring up? I worked hard. I sacrificed for you. And I could go down a list of all the things I did for them as a father. But instead, I stopped and I made sure I listened to what they had to say. And I swallowed my pride. And then I said I was sorry. Because I thought, you know what? They're really opening up and sharing something vulnerable with me right now. The last thing I want to do is shut them down because I want to share my opinion or defend myself. Maybe instead of defending myself, I just need to listen and show them how much I value them. And I did, and it was a beautiful moment. And by the end of it, they were apologizing to me. I was apologizing to them, and it was beautiful because with the beginning of my humbleness and my apology, it opened up the ability for them to do the same. I didn't expect that, but that's what happened. And we had a beautiful moment in our relationship, and our relationship took a step forward after that. And I know what you're thinking. Like, but Matt, it's been years.
And my parents have never come back to say they were sorry to me. What do I do in that situation? And the hurt does hurt more when it's repeated. When you feel like you've had honest, vulnerable conversations with a person and said, can I bring this to your attention? You're hurting me. Can we please talk about this? Can you just think about it, and then when it doesn't change and it keeps happening, it's discouraging. And you wonder, what in the world do I do? And some of you might say, but Matt, what if it's every single day that I'm dealing with something like this? Well, then my answer is you might need to reevaluate your relationship goals. If it's a boyfriend or a girlfriend, you might want to reconsider that. Hopefully, if you're married, you're not even thinking about that. But if you're not married, you might need to reconsider that. Maybe it's the workplace. You might need to consider finding a different place to work if it's that bad, because you've got to set boundaries is what it comes down to. When you can't remove yourself from the situation, and sometimes it's that way, you need to set boundaries. Set boundaries and let go of the baggage, because it's only hurting you. They're not going to change just because you hold on to it for a few days longer. Well, if I hold on a little bit longer, I think then, if I start to see change, no, it doesn't do anything with them. It won't fix them by holding on to it. It only makes it fester and hurt us more inside. And just to be clear with what letting go looks like, it's not ignoring it. It's not just not talking about it anymore. It's truly letting go, because ignoring it is not the same as letting it go. And we're experts at ignoring it. I know we all are. I can do this at times too, where I'm just not going to think about it. I'm just going to focus. I'm going to distract myself with something else today, and I'm not going to think about this. We're really good at distracting ourselves. But this is why things overwhelm us. Have you ever found yourself feeling like you're just trying to get through the day? It feels so difficult. I felt like, okay, one problem, whatever, no big deal. But 2 problems, 3 problems, even in a day, come on, this is crazy. And you just want to lose it. You just want to blow up, and you want to say, God, what's going on? Have you forgotten about me? Because I feel like life is just throwing me punch after punch after punch, and I just can't take it anymore. But if you feel that way, then you know how it feels when you're carrying 12 grocery bags and you're approaching the door of your house and you're like, how am I going to open this door with all these bags in my hand? How am I going to accomplish this? And if you think about it, it's really hard to do everyday things when you're carrying so many bags. But you don't realize that's what's causing it. All you know is, Matt, right now my life just feels like it's out of control. It feels like I try to have like a normal day, but then it goes bad so quickly. It only takes one little pebble and my whole pile falls. I feel like I'm just one thing away from losing it some days. And the reason that it feels that way is because there's bags that have piled and piled and piled and piled. And those bags are so heavy on you that it's exhausting you. So, when you're carrying a bunch of bags, it just plain makes everything harder in life. And if you think about it, it's a lot easier to set even the bags down when you've only got a couple. If I've only got a couple, I can move it over to the other hand and I've got a hand free. It's not so hard. But when there's so many, you wonder, where do I even begin? And this is where we need God. Let's watch some more of the story.
It gets uncomfortable, tedious, and our natural tendency is to want to dump this baggage onto someone else, but it always backfires.
Hey, can I ask you a question?
What are you doing in my room?
I just need to ask you a question.
What?
Can you give me and my friends a ride to school? It's cold and I don't want to ride my bike. What?
Are you really asking that?
Yeah, I don't think it's a big deal. Just give me a ride and some of my friends to school.
You need to understand something. Just because you and your loser friends are in high school now doesn't mean I'm going to give you a ride, okay? Because look at me. You need to understand that when people look at you, they see a freak, all right? And if they know that I'm related to you, if they know we're brothers, they're going to think I'm a freak too, okay? And I'm not okay with that. So here's the deal. I don't care how you get there. I don't care if you have to walk or crawl or whatever, but I'm not going to be a chauffeur for you and your loser friends, okay?
It's not my fault that Dad left. Why do you keep taking out on me?
Whatever.
No, you know I'm right.
Okay, I'm sorry.
You're not sorry. You're only sorry that I'm calling you out. I'll just ride my bike.
I said I was sorry.
I'll ride my bike.
Come on. And in the process of trying to dump our baggage on someone else, inevitably what happens is we pick up more baggage.
It's tempting to want to dump it off on somebody else. Have you ever felt like somebody was trying to just dump something on you before? We all know how it feels on the receiving end. But it's something we might not consider too often of, am I the one that might be doing that to somebody I love? I don't know about you, but there's been times I've regretted something I've said. I've wished that, life had a VCR. You remember VCRs? Back in the olden days, we had these things called VCRs. And whenever you rented a videotape, it would say, "Be kind, rewind." You might remember that. It was really fun. You had to rewind the video. I wish I could rewind sometimes and just like, can we just back this up and let me say this a different way? Or let's do a take two. But you can't. Once it's said, it's heard. And once it's heard, it's not forgotten. We just let things slip out because we're frustrated and we're angry and we're on edge. I mean, if we really thought it through, we wouldn't say it that way. We'd say it differently. And we accidentally, not intentionally, dump our baggage on people around us. So our question today is, I want us all to ask ourselves, is it possible I'm carrying some baggage? The Apostle Paul, in the Bible, the Apostle Paul wrestled with this very question as well. The Apostle Paul, I mean, you think about the Apostle Paul, wrote most of the New Testament that you read today, and you're like, man, this guy, wow, what an amazing Christian. What an amazing man of God. But he struggled too. In fact, in Romans chapter 7, this is a letter that he wrote. In Romans 7, verse 9 through 35, I'm going to read a portion of scripture to you. And I'm not going to, usually I'll put it up on here so you can read along with me, but today I want you to just listen and take in and picture what he's feeling and what he's saying when he writes this letter, because I think you might understand what he's coming from. Paul starts out verse 9, excuse me. Before I knew about the law, I was alive. But as soon as I heard that command, sin came to life and I died. The very command that was supposed to bring life to me instead brought me death. Sin used to command to trick me. And because of it, I died. Still, the law and its commands are holy, they are correct, and they are good. Now, am I saying that something good caused my death? Of course not. No, certainly not. It was sin that killed me by using something good. Now, we can see how terrible and evil sin really is, and we know that the law is spiritual, but I'm merely a human. I feel like I've been sold as a slave to sin. In fact, I don't understand why I act the way I do. I don't do what I know is right, and I do the things I hate. Although I don't do what I know is right, I agree, the law is good. So I am not the one doing these evil things. It's the sin that lives in me. That's what does them. I know that my selfish desires won't let me do anything that is good, even when I do what is right, or when I want to do what's right, I cannot. Instead of doing what I know is right, I do wrong. In conclusion, if I don't do what I know is right, I am no longer the one doing these evil things. The sin that lives in me is what does them. The law has shown me that something in me keeps me from doing what I know is right. With my whole heart, I agree with the law of God. But in every part of me, I discover something fighting against my mind. And it makes me a prisoner of sin that controls everything I do. What a miserable person I am. Who will rescue me from this body that is doomed to die? Thank God. Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ will rescue me. That's Paul taking us through a whole thought process of trying to figure out what's going on inside me. And this part where he says, I don't understand why I act the way I do. Have you ever felt that way? Have you ever gotten upset at yourself? I don't understand why I did that. I don't understand why I said that. I don't do what I know is right. I do the things I hate. Paul struggled with it too. He points this out. He says, look, I'm dealing with this. But here's what he concluded. Here's what he recognized. That it's sin living inside me that's caused me to do this. And so Jesus is the one who can rescue me from it. We struggle with two voices. On one hand, I want to love the people that are around me. I want to be kind. I want to be considerate. I want to be generous. But on the other hand, sometimes I just want to let them have it because I'm up to here with what they've done, or I'm up here with what they said. Or maybe I just had a bad day and they just said the wrong thing at the wrong time. And maybe sometimes I just want to get even a little bit, just a little bit, get even a little bit. So the question really is, what is it you struggle with on the inside? Because nobody else but you can see what you struggle with inside. I know very well the words, the thoughts in my mind. I know what I'm dealing with. And you know what you're dealing with. It's things that we keep kind of secret. We kind of keep to ourselves. And it ends up becoming excess baggage. So what are we going to do with this? Let's watch one last part.
And then there's that one. My sin. My secret sin. It's cool. I mean, I've got it under control. Who am I kidding? Most of the time it has control of me. And this is the way I live. And yet, I hear the words of Christ who says, I've come that you may have life and may have it abundantly. I don't know about you, but this doesn't really feel like abundant life to me. I can't walk straight. I can barely keep my balance. And then I remember his words. Because Christ also said, come to me, all you who are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest. That's what I want. That's what I want. So I go to God. God, please, if you're willing, would you take this baggage from me? Because God, I'm miserable and I can't live this way anymore. Please take it. And you know what? He takes it.
That's what Paul discovered, is that Jesus Christ is the one who will rescue me. So if you find yourself feeling overwhelmed recently, and if you feel like you're just working really hard each day just to get through the day, and if you feel like you're not sure if you could take one more thing, well, I've got good news for you. The same good news that Paul just talked about. God's not mad at you. God's not upset with you. God hasn't forgotten about you. You're not a bad person. You're just holding on to bad things. You need to ask God to forgive you. Or maybe you need to forgive someone else. Think about this. Have you ever met a person who was going through what you thought was just the most horrific circumstance in life, but they seemed happy, they seemed okay, they seemed at peace? I've met people like that, and it gets your attention because you wonder, how do they do it? It's astounding. How is it possible? Well, we know how they do it. Because they don't hold on to the baggage, they let it go, and they trust God. So today I want to ask us to have some inner contemplation. I want to ask us to maybe think about it for a few minutes, deal with it here today, right now, today in church. Because we need to let go of it, because Jesus Christ will rescue me. He is there waiting to help. We just need to ask God to take the baggage. We need to pray and take time and talk to him and just make our peace and let some things go. Now, in just a few moments, I'm going to play a song. And during that song, I'm not going to ask you to stand. I'm going to ask you to stay seated, which is unusual for us. Normally, we play a last song, we stand. But while you're seated, I'd like you to be able to do a little bit of business with God this morning. Close your eyes while you're sitting there this morning when that song plays and just talk to him and say, okay, hi, here's where we are. And you may need to forgive. You may need to be forgiven. You may need to just let some things go. But in a moment, I want to invite you to do that, because there's true freedom. There's true life. When those things come off your shoulders, it feels so wonderful. And I want you to experience that today. And Jesus Christ offers that. So we're going to start the song. I'd like to invite you to deal with God in the business. And when you feel like you're ready to let whatever it is you need to let go, then I'm going to ask you to stand up. And I know every single person here is dealing with something. So I don't want you to think, oh gosh, am I going to be the only one to stand up? Nope, guess what? We're all going to stand up, because we're all dealing with stuff. But in that moment of the song, when you feel like you're ready, you've dealt with business, stand up at that moment. And by the end of the song, we'll all be standing, because we all need Jesus Christ to help take something from us. But if you pray and ask him, he'll show you what it is. Even if you're not sure right now, take a few minutes and ask God, and he'll show you what you need to deal with today. So let's sit and let's begin the song together.
All my pain, all rejection, all my doubt, all confusion, all my pride, all my failure, every lie that's held me captive, I let it all go. I let it all go. I lay it down at your feet. Here I'm finally free. I let it all go. I let it all go. I lay it down at your feet. Here I'm finally free. My restless nights, my deepest struggle, they're losing ground, 'cause you are able to drive out fear. I know I'll make it through, this battle's won. And all I have to do is let it all go. I let it all go. I lay it down at your feet. Here I'm finally free. Oh, I let it all go. I let it all go. I lay it down at your feet. Here I'm finally free. I'm finally free. Oh, this is my song. And God, let this surrender be a threat to all my enemies. 'Cause in your hands there's no defeat. You are my identity. God, let this surrender be a threat to all